That's a very good point. If you really
Yeah.
see between the investments in data infrastructure and LLMs and AI and the
Mhm.
business outcomes, there is a clear gap today. One of the
Yeah.
big gaps today is the skill.
This is sponsored by the GTM AI Academy and AI powered GTM, where we bring you insights, interviews, and all the latest knowledge needed to thrive with go to market and AI. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It is I, Jonathan Kvarfordt, aka Coach K, and this is the GTM AI Podcast. And I am very excited, ecstatic. People don't know this, but I have my guest on with me today is one of my, he doesn't know this, but an influencer in my AI journey. And I'm really excited to have him here with me. It's Murali. And I just want to say thank you for joining me. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Coach K, great to be here. And thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So, quick history on you and me. So, I was at a company called Eltree once upon a time, and they acquired a company that was yours before that when you built your own AI models. And I remember first time seeing it going, what? That is crazy. So, your tech at the time was able to understand from a video point of view of like engagement, emotional state, body language, like all this other data, which is fascinating to me. And then they obviously implemented that inside their own tech stack and helped build their own AI platform. And there was a lot of key people in my life the last 5 years. I've gone this AI journey myself. And you and your team at the time was one of them, just because I worked with you closely and worked with them closely on how to talk about it, how to help the team talk about it. And so, first, I just want to say thank you because you were an influence in my life and just the whole AI thing. And now I'm in this crazy world, and you're part of the reason why. So I just want to say thank you. And yeah, man. So before we get to the nitty gritty details of all AI, and I want to ask you some questions about the past tech and now your tech now. Tell me, I want to have the audience know you because you're such a good guy. You're super humble, one of the smartest dudes I know, but you're not condescending at all, which is this nice combo. Like, you're just a good guy, and I really appreciate it. So I'd love to have you tell me your background. Like, where have you come from? How the heck did you get here? Why are you doing AI? Give me all the scoop.
How the heck did I get here? After I left L3, I took some time off to just unwind and do some travel a bit. Those best days in the last year. And now I'm back on the grind, right? In
Yeah.
terms of my career, coach, so in terms of my career, no, I've had a unique career. You won't find this on my LinkedIn. I started off as a software engineer building systems,
Mhm.
worked my way up to be the CIO of a large bank, in fact, the largest bank in India. And I left the bank role to start a company. I co-founded a company called Rastin, which was acquired by Splunk. I'll talk a little bit about it. There is a correlation in what we do today and Rastin. And then I left Rastin to start another company called Marsview, which was acquired by
Yeah.
LP 3 years later, where
Yep.
we're building AI for the contact center. I made and now I've joined another exciting as a go-to-market head. So I made a full circle. So what's
Yeah.
exciting is it's this constant push and pull of challenges that keeps me going. And
Yeah.
when I realized this, coach, this is last year, I went on my very first hike of my life to the Himalayas.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if I was fit enough to climb 15,000 feet, but I did.
That's awesome. That's
So,
way
so,
cool.
so that experience alone taught me that there is joy in navigating some uncertainties, and that's what drives me.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love it. I think the fascinating thing is if we could talk for a second, I know you've been involved with lots of tech, but Marsview specifically was a model you guys developed. Like, it wasn't OpenAI stuff, it was yours, right? So what's it like would you even recommend that now with all the technology now of building your own tech inside of a company? What do you tell the people now of saying, should we build our own like you did, or we just use the
Yeah,
LLMs available to us?
that's a great question, actually. So when I started Marsview, so we were one of the very first to adopt the transformer architecture. This was version one. You can call it GPT-1. Right? We didn't know GPT was going to take off in a big way in 22, late part of 22. But so we adopted the transformer architecture that helped us build our own real-time ASR, speech recognition system. Then we got into the tone analysis, emotion analysis that took us into the contact center where there's a lot of conversations happening. So so I take pride in the fact that we decided to build our own IP. At the same time, timing of it, where when we exited and the GPT got released. Now, if you ask me, would I do this again today? I wouldn't, because GPT has completely changed the game. So
Yeah.
we took a lot of hard work to build. It's now a commodity. Right?
Yeah. I was curious on what one of the questions I wanted to ask you is because the tech you did at the time was pretty unique. And now you have all this power behind Claude and Grok and Llama and ChatGPT and all these different texts that are really good. So, I mean, you as a person who's built them, you have respect for it, which just says a lot about the technology.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is definitely. And it had its time and moment. And so now GPT has completely changed the game because they have access to more data than I could have ever had. So,
Tell me more about Tursio now. What's the scoop now? Are you helping build a tech? Is it going into an API to OpenAI? Or tell me the scoop. What's it do and what are you doing with
yes.
it?
So what is Tursio? If you really see, static reports and dashboards have been around forever.
Yeah.
So these are great business intelligence tools to run a business. But to change a business, you need forward looking insights.
Mhm.
It's not easy. Like, I'm a decision maker in an organization. It's not easy for me to get instant insights. I need to have specialized knowledge to run a report, or I'm dependent on my business analyst or my data analyst go run a report for me. And it takes time, depending on the
Yeah.
complexity. Right? So we are solving this particular problem where we give dynamic insights on structured operational data in your data warehouse. How we do that? You just, if you're a non-technical user, like an exec, you can
Yeah.
just simply ask a question and get an answer. It's like giving data a brain and a voice. See, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, can you guess an industry that uses insights well? Make a guess.
That uses insights well
Yeah.
besides sports?
Yeah. Wall Street. Yeah, sports is a good one. Wall
Yeah.
Street. Think about it.
Wall
Now,
Street. Yeah.
at the end of every trading day, you have all these experts come on TV. They break down the
Nice.
day's action and say, you know what? Today was only the fourth time in the last 35 years VIX has gone up 60% in a single day. That means
Mhm.
great for the market. So this is next level analysis. And that's why they make the big bucks, right? Yeah. So what I
Right.
believe is it's all about the insights and we are helping execs unlock the story behind the data. We'll get to that more in detail.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, you asked me to ask you about this because I was going to ask you anyways, like what is a generative AI machine? So let's back up a second. So
Yeah.
databases technically can be databases of all kinds of data from conversational data to financial data to whatever data, right? So
Yes.
let's start with the databases. What kind of databases should
Yeah.
people be thinking about creating to access? Does that make sense? Hopefully.
That's a very good question. See, the thing is, how is Tursio doing things differently? Right? So what you
Yeah.
have a lot of companies build co-pilots on unstructured data. We
Mhm.
unstructured data are all that text-based data, documents and summarization of documents and things like that. So Tursio is one of the very few, if not the only company out there today that has built a co-pilot for structured operational data, your finance data, your marketing data, your sales data,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. And this is not an easy problem to solve. So back when I co-founded Raston, it was a company that built
Mhm.
the first generation NLU based search analytics, which we sold to Plunk. So where it was a basic text to SQL to convert a plain English question into a SQL. The challenge with that is it doesn't work for complex questions or complex analysis.
Yeah.
I have to ask the question in a certain way for the SQL to be accurately read. Tursio with the Gen AI machine. So what we have done is we have built a single stack of LLMs, the vector DB for the embedding, getting a little technical here, LLMs, vector DB
Yeah.
for the embeddings, and all the LangChain kind of pipelines to build these system interfaces all in
Yeah.
one stack because we don't want our regulated industry to who are shy of sending data to cloud to move any data around. So instead of moving data to AI, we are bringing AI to where the data is located. That's the Gen
Yeah.
AI machine that I'm talking about that we have created. So that makes
Yeah.
a difference for regulated industry. And also, if you really see, if to get a highly accurate interpretation of your user query, and also automatically generating the workflow with SQL and ML and AI operators, it's not an easy operation. So we have encapsulated all of these capabilities into this Gen AI machine.
That's cool. So how would you differentiate that from a regular RAG type system? Is it the same, similar, using that same, or what's the difference?
Excellent machine. In fact, so companies that are exploring Gen AI app, like the one that I'm talking to run these kind of
Yeah.
queries, they have three options. One is they can use the freely available co-pilots out there. Microsoft as a copilot, Snowflake as a copilot, and so on. Or they could build something in house using RAG techniques. or fine tuning is another technique. So the challenge with that on structured data, on unstructured, it's a little different. On structured data is, if you really see the copilots, although it's available on cloud, it suffers from accuracy. It's designed to really read your schema and then give you what it sees in the schema. But that's not enough
Yeah.
for a structured world, because you're as the people don't name the fields and the columns in the schema intuitively.
Right.
So it so
Right.
that's why the copilots fail. And since it's and the RAG techniques, if you come to RAG techniques, it's a lot of work. You have to. It's a lot of infrastructure that's required, data pipelining that is required. It takes time and cost. Third is fine tuning. So fine tuning, the problem is you cannot fine tune a database that's on the cloud, and it also compromises security and privacy a bit, because imagine if you have a single AI model, you fine tune it for the whole organization. Now the fine-tuned model is available to a CEO and a rank and file employee. So where is the data access and the privacy? So that
Right.
those kinds of challenges come up in the structured world. That,
Quick ad break. Unlock your AI edge with GTM AI Academy. We've got actionable tools and insights tailored for sales, marketing, enablement, RevOps, GTM leaders, and GTM teams. Plus, grab our free demo tools library to level up today. Visit gtmaiacademy.com.
Yeah. So to just give an example, I know a lot of people use AI now. A big concern is just hallucinations, right? Which to me, part of how I solve that with at least the academy is through proper prompting techniques. But part of it is just because they're pushing the AI to do something that's not capable of doing in the first place because it doesn't have access to the data, right? So it just makes it up. So in this world of when you bring in Gen AI machines to the data, like how do you resolve so it's not making up stuff? How do you do
yeah,
that?
hallucination is a big problem. The way we are solving this is we are going after what's called high precision, which is most of the
Yeah.
co-pilots work on high recall. So you ask any question, it comes back with an answer. Whether it is right or wrong, you get a good enough answer. But when you're dealing with business data, you need 100% accurate response, because your business is making business decisions on this analysis. So we go with the high precision model. The way we do this is, when a query is entered as a prompt in the search interface, we create micro models. The micro models are nothing but it fragments the question, then tries to find a cluster of data that is 100% searchable. Only
Yeah.
then we come back and show the result. Otherwise, it'll be hallucination. So we try to take a less risky approach and say, unless we are 100% sure, we won't complete the analysis.
Yeah. So let's put this into like real business terms for a second. So your ideal clients right now, you said in healthcare and financial industries, right? So
Yeah.
let's just say, for example, when you say healthcare, you mean like hospitals? You mean like insurance? What do you mean exactly? I'm going to give a hypothetical.
Digital. So far, we have been dealing with digital health companies and health plan providers.
Okay. Let's just say they have documents of different kinds, from the HIPAA compliance things to the database of customers and what issues they may or may not have, like all this stuff, right? Then you have internal process documents, like how do you onboard, how you do with products, what's the objections, and all this data. So the company has this stuff. What does your team do with all that stuff to make it accessible?
In a regulated industry like healthcare, so they are not going to give us the data. You say, hey, we have a cloud-based pilot, send us your data. You won't get the data because
Right.
it's too risky. So we have this option of installing our Gen AI machine in their database, so the data does not leave their four walls, leave the network. So now
Right.
that is step one. Step two is, so most of these documents are also supported by metadata. So for you to work with the metadata and the documents together, an Elasticsearch kind of tool where it does a semantic search on keywords, it's not going to be sufficient. So you want to be
Right.
able to run analysis on structured and unstructured together. And we are the only tool that can do that accurately and with low latency and cost.
Nice. That's awesome. So do you use any type of, and I'm going to explain this, not for you, because I know you know what this means, more for the audience. I know there's like parsing techniques and there's indexing, which is more of a RAG thing. So when you do the process you're talking about, you have all these documents and you put a Gen AI machine inside their four walls, is it then become prompt based? Or is it more like from a pick list? Like how does a user, whether it's a CEO to an individual contributor, how do they engage with it?
Yes. If you have used ChatGPT or Perplexity, it's going to be the same kind of interface. The way
Nice.
so now let's just say a question. Let's just say a user is asking, analyze my loan delinquency of my loan portfolio, run a risk profile. That's the
Yep.
analysis. Right? So what it does is it takes this question and then chunks this question and tries to find the closest data location. In fact, there are two aspects to our system. First is data modeling, where we go and search through the entire database, the schema, and then come back
Mhm.
and then create a vectorized notation. And then second is query
Nice.
modeling. This is where the people ask questions on the search interface. We break the question down and tries to find the closest match to embeddings in DB, then come back with an accurate output of data. So that's how it is done. And to answer your question, it's a very easy, non-technical search-based interface. Just prompt, ask a question, and get the answer.
I love it so much. So like this, what you're tapping into, if I was an enablement leader inside of a healthcare or bank company, I'd be like, where in the world have you guys been? I've been looking for you my whole life. Because this is the stuff that internal teams from customer support all the way up to VPs are asking, like random questions, but to a centralized data bank of some kind, right? I could see this kind of application in the regular sales world of tech because this happens every day when someone asks me, hey, coach, you know where this one file is? Or hey, where can I find this thing? Or how much did we sell last month? Or whatever the case is. There's all these
Yeah.
questions that come, and it's
And,
usually
and
the human
also
you have to go to.
and also these
So,
dashboards, if you see, coach, people are desensitized to dashboards because
yeah.
dashboards is filled with charts and metrics. And it's very hard to really understand and how the numbers came about. For instance, the traceability and explainability is an important problem in the data world, in the analytics
Mm.
world, especially in the AI world. So you want to be able to understand why I'm seeing a trending down. What are those factors that is causing the trend to be down? It's not very evident in a dashboard. So in our analysis, we come back with this overall summary and the details, and also explain why your data is the way it is. So that's quite powerful.
No, that's super powerful. So, hypothetically, I'm going to give a super crazy hypothetical. Let's just say, for example, if a healthcare company had number one, were they able to trust like their financial data, like all the ins and outs and all that stuff? And then at the same time, in that four walls, they have internal process stuff. And then at the same time, they have external marketing. And at the same time, they have the healthcare regulation documents where that is. Someone
Yes.
could theoretically go in and prompt for either one of those categories at any time, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's crazy.
Exactly. It,
Crazy.
exactly.
Awesome, but it's crazy.
Yes, it is. So this is where a normal fine tuning is not going to be sufficient. You
Mm.
want to be able to really make all that information accessible and also help the user with the right level of hints to ask the question the right way to get the right analysis done. So
Yeah.
we also
Yeah.
have these helper clauses. Yeah.
Well, one thing I talk about in the academy, because I'm extremely passionate about this, that tools for tools' sake is junk.
Yeah.
Tools only have impact when it solves a problem and actually has some sort of consequence in the real world, right? And I know you guys have just launched recently, but I'm just curious from your lens. Let me give you an example. I don't think people quite understand the impact of how, when you have access to data, that it's helpful for you to make a decision and you can move on that faster. The old world was you had to have 12 different meetings with 12 different people and find these documents, get information. And it takes forever in 5 weeks, and then you can make a decision. New
Yes.
world is it's at my fingertips. I can figure out what I need to fast and decide and move. Like that delta, I don't think people understand the value and the speed between those two. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
It's a very good point. If you really
yeah,
see between the investments in data infrastructure and LLMs and AI and the
mhm,
business outcomes, there is a clear gap today. One of the
yeah,
big gaps today is the skill gap, right?
yeah,
How do you close the gap? Yes, I understand how LLMs work, but I want an outcome that looks like this. How do I bridge that gap? That's where we really come in, where we say, we don't throw in a software and say, you know what, Mr. Customer, this is your software,
that
start
part.
using it tomorrow. No, we don't do that. Because we want to
Yeah,
we ask the customer, how do you want to engage? What are your top 5 questions? Let me solve the
yeah.
problem for you. So any AI today has to be tailored to solve to produce a business outcome. That is our engagement model. So where
Yeah.
we go and ask those questions to the execs and then say, hey, any question that you would ask in this particular domain, whether it is loans and delinquencies or clinical trials, we will solve it 100% for you.
Yeah.
It's the only
Well,
way AI can be tailored to work. Otherwise, this gap is always going to be there.
how would you feel? And this is, I'm going to ask you a hypothetical. Let's just say, for example, when you go into a customer and they're asking, like, what's the potential ROI? What can we expect from return on this?
Yeah.
What do you even use as the baseline? Like, what are you using? Is time the thing, or is it like quality of decisions? Like, how do you use that? How do you structure that?
Yes. So it's a very good question again. Let's just say for one of the customers, we solved the problem of a churn reduction. So churns, in fact, they are a large entertainment company where
Mm,
had a challenges of consumers not
yep.
renewing time for longer subscription timelines. The first is we had to really understand what's the best campaign to run to maximize
Mhm.
renewals. And second is how do you reduce churn? So now in an environment like this, once we solve this problem, the way we craft out the ROI is total income generated from consumers that have gone from partial renewals to a full renewal, and then
Mhm.
total churns that are avoided by running the right level of campaign to sell the right products and services. So when you add it up, the total income generated and the savings, you have a full value generation. And on that value, we tell the customer,
Totally.
you keep 90%, we get 10%. And
Ah,
so that's
there you
about
go.
it. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And customers like it.
Eh,
They like this kind of transparency.
yeah, it's one of those things where I'll talk from the past pre-AI, but like every tech place I ever sold for in the world, like when I know that did not resonate was when people said, "Yeah, we're going to help you. Your win rates go up by 15%, blah, blah." Like, but the problem is being able to attach the tech specifically to that lagging metric is so freaking hard to do. It's almost impossible. But with this new world of AI, like the changes that AI has as a consequence is pretty substantial, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier to measure, but especially with like you were saying before, the process used to take you 5 weeks. Now it's taking you 5 minutes. What's the
Yes.
delta?
In
Yeah,
fact, we are also adding an ROI tab in our product. So customers
nice.
with full transparency. So the customers can click on the tab and say, hey, how much ROI has been generated this year? Because
That's cool.
we want customers to really see the value. And that's how we are configuring during the implementation cycles. We want to deliver what we promise.
I love that. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I want to tap into this. I love hearing talking about Tursio because this whole thing's fascinating. I'm thinking to myself, I want Tursio on my computer for me, for my stuff. I got stuff everywhere. Uh, so if you do it for individuals, I will take it. No, but let's go to the future forecasting a little bit because you're an AI brain, you're an AI expert, you built your own models, you're deep in the system now. Like when we're talking about the future, and I won't set you up, I literally want to leave it open in the
Mhm.
next year, which I know is a lifetime in AI, but next year, what are things you are excited about? What are you looking forward to? What's the things you're thinking about?
Yes. Yes. So I have to tell you this. The company was founded by three bright engineers. These are three engineers from Microsoft. They've spent many years working on databases. They, in fact, have all three have PhDs in databases and optimization.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. So we know this space very well, and we have a plan. So the way we are approaching this, and your question is, where are we going to be a year from now, right? So we are zeroing in on two pillars. One is we want to make sure it is this low hanging fruit of companies, mostly banks and credit unions and healthcare institutions that are running their data warehouses and data stores on premise. We want to talk to them and bring AI into their internal data operations. So that for
Nice.
us is goal number one. And the goal number two is to look at Copilot. We want to mature our Copilot for business intelligence as a product that you would use to interact with any kind of data and database. This is a deeper aspect of what in the conventional Copilots, you only have basic database operations. We want the Copilots to be an assistant to the BI analysts, the data analysts in every company and the execs, all in
And
all levels.
so when you think, I love hearing that, by the way, I love hearing that stuff. Tell me about your thoughts about the larger marketplace. So whether it's with Tursio or not, like what everyone's talking about agents, which first I want to say, I'm going to give you a definition of this. To me, there's three levels. There's a pure AI or Gen AI, I should say. Then there's AI plus automation. Then you have agents, right? And I think that some people call AI agents. And I'm like, that's not an agent, it's AI. So
Correct. Yeah.
from your seat, like how number one, how would you define each? And
Yeah.
then number two, what do you think about agents? So if you do, you mind
Yes.
tell me the difference between all those.
Yes. The way I distinguish is co-pilots or AI assistants. There is always going to be a need for a human. The human has to ask and drive the conversation,
Yep.
the analysis in this case. Agents are autonomous. So
Mm,
they are designed and trained to do a specific task. Especially in the data world, maybe we could have agents to do some mundane pipeline management and data extraction and stuff. But in the actual usage of it, I don't see agents taking over an exec's role and making decisions. Don't see that. So we will always be an AI assistant or an AI co-pilot for BI. So that's the distinction I make. And however, we are looking at agentic workflows to see, now you don't need to sit there and create a pipeline of your workflow, data workflow. So we want that level of automation. In fact, we are also bringing in a lot of SQL and ML and AI operators into automating your workflow generation. I'll just give you an example. It's easy to understand with an example. Let's just say if you want to run a loan delinquency itself is an analysis that you want to do. For you to run a loan delinquency analysis on entire auto loan portfolio, so there is some level of SQL that's required, some level of ML operation that is required to make some predictions, and then some level of causation analysis that is required. So now stitching it all together requires a workflow. And our technology automates this workflow. So you don't need a data modeler to create all these and stitch them together. So
Right.
when the user asks a question, run a delinquency analysis, it knows that it has to run the SQL operation, ML operation, AI operation, come back with
Right.
the full analysis. So that's
Yeah.
the automation we are doing. That
Yeah.
again is partly it's agentic, but we still call ourselves an AI co-pilot for business intelligence.
Yeah, that world of where we're going with that, the whole thing you just walked through is like fascinating because it's like what we've gone through the last 2 years times 10 because the impact of it's crazy in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me give you a hypothetical because I'm curious on this. Klarna, I don't know if you heard about this, but Klarna, 5, 6 months ago, they replaced a lot of their customer support people with AI assistant bots, right? And then the
Mhm.
other thing they did is they got rid of Salesforce and Workday because they're technically doing their own warehouse stuff internally. And I was like, that is super interesting. And now, even with your technology, and I'm not, and I know you're not saying this, but let me give you a hypothetical. That let's just say you had some way to capture any input from customer emails, chats, calls, whatever. And then you have all the stuff you're talking about from internal resources and marketing, all this other thing.
Mhm.
If in theory you had that in a system like yours that someone could prompt and pull out information, like a sales leader could say, hey, what's our whatever numbers for the day and how the conversation with Molly go yesterday and whatever else the thing went to, doesn't that kind of eliminate the need for some CRMs?
It's a good line of thinking. At the same time, Klarna has, it's, see, these are all, one example does not make a trend yet, number one. Secondly,
It
it all
doesn't.
depends on a business model also. In fact, what
Yeah.
I'm seeing there, especially in these regulated industries, it's high touch. And
Mm.
there is a lot of concern on privacy, the ethical ethics and stuff like that comes in. I think eventually that's the direction we are headed in terms of autonomous agents that are going to take on these human tasks. But there are always going to be some tasks where human oversight is absolutely going to be required, especially in a dynamic environment, dynamic
Yep.
business. I'm balanced. I'll wait and watch until such time we have enough AI to
Right.
do with AI as assistant or
Okay,
human.
good. Yeah. I know one thing doesn't make a thing, but to me, it's always writing on the wall. Like, is this coming? And I only say that because I say I know of 3 other companies, both large and small, who are doing a similar thing. They just haven't come out and said anything about it, but I know they're doing it because I'm on the back end. So I just find it fascinating that people have this thing, and there's just this whole new world that is possible that we didn't have before, which is crazy.
A lot of the tasks today are already is going away. For instance, SDR as an example, first level SDR. There is so much automation that's done in that space. So now the SDRs are using AI to be more productive, run their operations daily. So there are some examples out there, not in a broad way yet.
Yeah, it's not there yet. How do you think, and I'll probably end with this or maybe one more. When it comes to the human side of things and
Mm.
people are understanding like what can the AI do and what does the human do? Does that conversation come up, number one? And number two, if it does, what do you say to people? Like, how do they identify this as AI, this is human? Like, how do you separate that?
That's a big question that's coming up with Sora got released.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite scary. People are asking, why don't they put a caption there? It's AI. If you really see, I'm just thinking out loud here, right? Star Wars. Part of the movie was all graphics. We didn't care. It was part of
Right.
the movie experience. We didn't care which one was graphics and which was CGI and which was real human. As time goes on, humans, us, we will get sensitized to living or coexisting with AI. amongst us. So when we make calls to banks, call centers, we will expect that it could be an AI or a bot that we'll be interacting with, and which we are okay with as long as my job gets done. So that's how it's going to be. It really does not matter if AI is performing the task or human, as long as the job gets done in an accurate fashion. That's it.
Yeah. How then for leaders then when they're thinking about,
Mm.
because this potentially helps with operating costs of having humans doing whatever, because you could essentially theoretically go from a team of 50 to a team of 15 with a lot of AI automation agents around them doing the thing. And the 15 people from 50 is just doing what would have taken 50 to before. It's like, for me, it's like if people going out to a wheat field doing it manually would have taken 100 people and now it's one tractor. I feel like it's like the same thing.
Yeah, it may, but again, it remains to be seen. I feel that new roles will be created because I can already see that if SDR function is being automated, what's going to happen is there's going to be an inflow of a lot of leads coming in. So the SDR person has to really be an analyst now, analyzing, hey, which is the lead that I should be working with. So the functions are going to shift a bit. I don't think AI would really reduce the labor drastically. Yes, there will be some course correction in terms of excess workforce reduction, but it will also create some new roles in the world. So,
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I saw this random thing when this guy was talking about jobs specifically, and he was saying AI is going to make way more jobs than it's going to destroy, which is, we just don't know what they are yet.
yeah,
Which I 100% agree with. And that's what I'm bullish on, is it's going to create this new world of fun stuff we get to do.
exactly.
Yeah. Let me end with this. What's the best way for someone to get in touch with you? It's Tursio.ai.com. What's the website?
It's Tursio.ai, and there's a link out there for requesting a demo. Please reach out to us, and we're happy to give you a demo.
That's right. I love it. I'll make sure I have the link to the website on the show notes. And then are you okay if I put your LinkedIn link as well for people to reach out? Okay,
Please do.
cool.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
then I just want to tell you, just from, and I sincerely just thank you for being a part of my own AI journey. It's got me on this crazy path, which I'm loving so much. I just love this space. It's so much fun. But truly, sincerely, you've just been a good thought leader and mentor that someone I look up to and respect quite a bit. I just want to tell you thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thanks for your kind word. I do miss music. Robert, guitar.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I played music for you guys at one time, huh? I
Yes.
totally forgot
I
about
was
that.
going to ask you in the intro music bit. Was it your creation? It's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good,
Yes.
Marcus.
I'm
Yeah.
actually, I'm gonna redo it for next season. So it's got to be a new. I might go a little bit more rock and roll this time. We'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure
uh,
it'll be good.
we'll do something.
Look forward to
Well,
that.
thank you. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, you said you're going to be doing some announcements. So when this comes out, it's going to come out the same time your announcements. Do you want to talk about it, or should I let it go?
Want to wait? Yeah. Maybe,
Okay, we'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll leave it as a teaser for anyone listening. Like, ooh, what's going on? So this is an announcement. I won't spoil the beans, but I'm excited for you. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the flip side, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI Podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.